Have you ever walked into a historic site and just felt, well, a little underwhelmed? This whole explainer is for anyone who wants to build really powerful exhibits but maybe doesn't have a Hollywood budget. We're going to dive into a simple checklist that's all about shifting from just telling history to actually showing it. This is a challenge so many small museums and historic sites run into. Let's call it the empty room problem. You walk into a space, you know it's important, but what do you see? Bare walls, maybe a couple of really long text panels. There's nothing to grab your eye, no emotional hook. It's just a bunch of words that, let's be honest, are really easy to just walk past. So, what's the fix? Well, the solution is really a change in mindset, and it's all wrapped up in what we're calling the Show Me checklist. And this isn't about needing a bigger budget or finding some priceless lost artifact. No, it's about using really smart low cost strategies to make history visible and, fun to engage with. Okay, so our first principle is all about giving your visitors' eyes something to do, something to latch onto. It's about taking those overwhelming walls of text and swapping them out for visuals that tell the story instantly and way more effectively. A perfect example of this, the then and now comparison. It's so simple, but so powerful. By putting a historic photo or maybe an old illustration right next to a picture of how that exact same spot looks today, you create this immediate connection. Visitors can instantly see where they are and just feel the passage of time, all without reading a single word. And get this is what makes these ideas so great. You can do this for maybe 10 bucks. Seriously, for the cost of a couple of coffees, you can create this amazing aha moment that can completely anchor a visitor's experience in a room. Oh man, we have all seen this. It's the dreaded wall of text. And look, the information in there might actually be fascinating, but when you present it like this, it just feels like homework. It's dense, it's hard to follow, and it's pretty much impossible for someone to connect with if they're just walking through. But now, look what happens when you take that exact same information and just visualize it. A simple family tree or a timeline turns that dense paragraph into something you can understand in like 5 seconds. The rule here is so simple. If you can see the information, you shouldn't have to explain it in long, boring sentences. So this brings us to a really simple but super effective little test you can do in any exhibit. The one visual per wall rule. Just walk through your space. Does every single wall, every single one, have at least one visual thing, like a photo, a diagram, an object, something that gives your eyes a reason to stop and look? If not, that's your first and easiest fix. All right, so once you capture their eyes, the next step is to engage their other senses. Principle 2 is all about creating an atmosphere. It's about making a historic space feel like people actually live there, making it feel inhabited and alive, not like some sterile gallery. And you don't need a bunch of fancy furniture to do this. Just use what you've got. A simple table can become a little mini stage. You add a few reproduction props, maybe a half-written letter, some old tools, and suddenly you suggested a moment that's just frozen in time. This kind of simple setup just begs visitors to lean in, get a closer look, and fire up their imaginations. And you know what? Creating atmosphere doesn't have to cost anything. Not a dime. In fact, one of the most powerful tools for making a space feel lived in is completely free. And it uses a sense we almost always forget about in museums, our hearing. Just imagine this for a second. You walk into a historic tavern room and you hear the low murmur of conversation and the clinking of glasses. Or you're standing in an old study and you hear the sound of a quill pen scratching as a diary entry is read out loud. You can do this with just a tiny, hidden speaker playing a simple audio loop. It can instantly transport a visitor back in time and make the space feel truly alive. So, you got the visuals working, you've got the atmosphere, but all of it has to be backed up by our final principle, clarity. This is all about being smart and, really importantly, honest with your audience. It's how you build trust and add real value to their visit. Okay, I absolutely love this technique. It's the what you don't see label, and it's just brilliant. Instead of just ignoring the fact that you don't have the original stuff, you call it out. You're honest about it. And that transparency, it doesn't make the exhibit weaker, it actually makes it stronger. You're treating your visitors like they're intelligent, like they're partners in this discovery with you. It builds so much trust. All right, let's talk about QR codes for a second. The golden rule is so simple. A QR code has to always reveal something new. It should never, ever, ever just link to a transcript of the text panel that the person is already standing right in front of. That just drives me crazy. Use it to show a 3D model of that desk that's missing, or maybe a short video of a historian explaining what happened in that room. Reveal something, don't just repeat it. And that brings us to the final test. And honestly, this might be the most important one for any exhibit. Just walk through it and ask yourself this one simple question: what would a child notice first? If the answer is an object or a cool picture or a sound, you are on the right track. If the honest answer is a giant wall of text, well, it's probably time to rethink things. Because here's the secret: if it works for kids, it almost always works even better for adults. So when you pull all these principles together, what you're really left with is the core philosophy behind this whole approach. It's the show me mindset. And it's not really a new set of rules. It's just the one big idea that changes how we think about what makes an exhibit great. And it really boils down to this: you don't need a room jam-packed with priceless original objects to tell a really compelling story. But don't get me wrong, having them is amazing, but not having them isn't a barrier to creating a great experience. What you really need is clarity in your story and intention behind every single choice you make in that room. It's about thinking visually, it's about engaging the senses, and it's about respecting your audience's time and their intelligence. Because at the end of the day, the show me mindset doesn't mean go spend more money. It just means making the story visible, making it tangible, and making it memorable for every single person who walks through that door. So I'll just leave you with this one question. Take a look around your own community, your own history. What's an important story that's just waiting, not to be told, but to be shown?